No, they don't. I know better than that. They choose Jif. This is Will Buchanan, walking, yes indeed, on the Walk for Liberty. It's August 26th, 2008, day 118. In yesterday's episode, I said I would talk today about mandatory seatbelt enforcement laws. To me, there's not much that's more intrusive, more nanny state-ish, and just downright more insulting than the government telling me I must do something in my own car. Oh sure, I've heard lots of arguments in favor of seatbelt laws. One is that if people don't wear seatbelts, it will make healthcare costs rise for everyone. But if it's the case that one person getting sick or injured causes healthcare costs to rise for everyone else, then that's because government has gotten so involved with healthcare in the first place that it's taken many of the market forces out of it and already made it over half socialized. Trying to correct one government problem, i.e. its involvement in healthcare, with a government supposed solution, i.e. mandatory seatbelt laws, is only going to end up creating bigger and bigger government over time as more and more government solutions have to be applied to fix the previous government problems. A better solution would be to get rid of the original problem, which is government's involvement in healthcare. Another argument I've heard in favor of seatbelt laws is one that's often trotted out to excuse many government increases, and that is, it's for the children. The argument goes that the government must make people wear seatbelts, because if the parents are killed in a car crash due to not wearing their seatbelts, then the children will be orphaned. First of all, as a non-parent, what does that have to do with me and my wearing of a seatbelt? Second, the law doesn't actually make parents wear seatbelts. All it does is punish them if they don't and they get caught. It's still the parent's decision as to whether they wear a seatbelt or not. Consider this illustration. A father is driving his child to school and is not wearing his seatbelt. He gets pulled over by a cop who then fines him for not wearing his seatbelt. The father refuses to pay the fine out of principle, rightly thinking that it's none of the government's business. So the fine keeps increasing higher and higher, yet the father still refuses to pay it. Finally, a warrant is issued for his arrest. He's hauled into court, and the judge tells him that he must pay the fine immediately, or else he'll be thrown in jail. He still refuses to pay out of principle, and the government throws him in jail. And now the child is without a parent. Sounds suspiciously like the situation that the law was supposed to prevent in the first place, doesn't it? Try saying that 5 times fast. The final argument I'll cover in favor of seatbelt laws is simply that seatbelts save lives. In fact, there was a guy that commented after my video yesterday that normally he's not in favor of intrusive government, but he is in favor of this law for that very reason. And seatbelts undoubtedly do save lives, most of the time. There are, unquestionably, situations where seatbelts actually do more harm than good. So knowing that, what is the morality behind a one-size-fits-all law, such as the seatbelt law, which is threatening people to wear seatbelts, even in situations where they could kill them? Shouldn't it be up to each person to decide if or when they want to wear a seatbelt? But even taking it as an assumption that seatbelts save lives, does it still make sense to have a law even in that case? As I touched on with the parent example earlier, if seatbelts save lives, then it's the person deciding to wear the seatbelt who is saving their own life. Laws can't make you do things, and laws can't save your life. Laws only punish. And I haven't even covered the huge violation of private property rights and personal liberties that seatbelt laws are. Really, the question of whether seatbelts save lives or not is irrelevant. What it boils down to is this: am I a free man, or am I a ward of the state? I know that I left the question that I posed at the very end of last episode until the end of this episode. But before I quite get to that, I understand that compared to most of the country, I'm fighting a losing battle. Most people think that because they believe that wearing seatbelts is the right thing to do, that it's also right to try to force everyone else to wear them as well. It might seem like a small thing, but I think seatbelt laws are telling as to just how nanny-statish the governments in this country have become. So to answer the question of how many states do not require the use of a seatbelt while driving, there's only one state which does not infringe upon an individual's right to decide for themselves whether or not to wear a seatbelt. And that state is New Hampshire. I'm not sure that I can actually say I'm proud that the government there doesn't have a seatbelt law. But I can say that I'm glad that the legislators, as a body, have chosen not to infringe upon an individual's freedom in this case. And it's yet one more reason that I'm happy to be walking across the country to move to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project. I walked right at 20 miles today. Here's my location. This is Will Buchanan for blog.walkforliberty.com, signing off. Cool, AI. I knew as a good Trekkie that there would someday be a market for artificial intelligence services.